Hi fans of high quality entertainment. I'm really enjoying this series and thank you for the comments. I've done 1973 and 1974 and today 1975. I was planning to do, change it and do the 90s. So I was thinking 1995. I'm really impressed with Paul Weller's album Stanley Road, which is from that year. And so I'm looking at the albums from that year, and I couldn't find any. I could find maybe one or two. So at some point I want to do a video where, what was my cut-off year where, I stopped buying as many, of the current albums. So before 1995, I was kind of living in the past, I guess, with the music I love from the 60s, 70s, 80s, and early 90s. Maybe the early 90s. So here we go. These are, now remember, these are my favorite albums. I'm not saying they're the best. There's a difference, even though the title might say Top 10 Best Albums. These are just my personal favorites. So what didn't make the list, but most of these are still superb albums, includes Bruce Springsteen's Born to Run, Jeff Beck, Blow by Blow, 10cc, the original soundtrack, Joni Mitchell, The Hissing of Summer Lawns, Neil Young, Tonight's the Night, Aerosmith, Toys in the Attic, ELO, Face the Music, Elton John, Captain Fantastic and the Brown Dirt Cowboy, Bachman Turner Overdrive, Four Wheel Drive, Ted Nugent, simply titled Ted Nugent, Rush, Fly By Night, Paul Simon, Still Crazy After All These Years, ZZ Top, Fandango, the live album, or half live, Bob Dylan, Bob didn't do it right, Bob Dylan, that's better, Blood on the Tracks, Chris Squire, Fish Out of Water, Fleetwood Mac, Jethro Tull, Minstrel in the Gallery, Nazareth, Hair of the Dog, Kraftwerk, Radioactivity, and Nectar, Recycle. The reason that's not in my top 10 yet is that I bought it, but I'm still listening to it and getting into it. But I do enjoy it. Here is my top 10. Now, one album that was going to be in my top 10, and then I really thought it over. Because sometimes you're not pressured, but it's like you feel you have to put a certain album in, because it's so popular. And even though it is a great, great album, there's a lesser known album that I just prefer more. So what did make my top 10 was Queen's A Night at the Opera, which is still excellent. I still love the album. So number 10 for me is Golden Earring to the Hilt. Definitely a very, very underrated band. Number 9, David Bowie, Young Americans. Now I know this would be maybe 1 or 2 or 3 for a lot of you out there, but it's number 8 for me. Pink Floyd, Wish You Were Here. Number 7 and 6 are by the same artist. Yeah, I think I'll go with this one first. Number 7 is the very first album I ever heard by this artist in 1975, of course. I'd always heard of him, even through the late 60s. I loved his album covers. I thought, just from the album covers, I think that would be interesting music, and I was right. because when I bought One Size Fits All, I became a fan of Frank Zappa and the Mothers of Invention. And even though this One Size Fits All is better than this one I'm about to show you at number 6, between the two to listen to, I prefer listening to this because it's so crazy. Because Captain Beefheart's on it. Bongo Fury with the Mothers of Invention with, of course, Captain Beefheart. One of my all-time favorite live albums. Now, number 5, I think at least I used to kind of underrate this album until the last year or so. I've been listening to it a bit more, and it's like, you know what? This was a great follow-up to a very, very popular album. It is Paul McCartney and Wings, Venus and Mars. It's the box set, of course, that I have. Yeah, excellent album. Number 4 is once again one of my all-time favorite live albums. This was a double, but it's just one CD. On Your Feet or On Your Knees. Blue Oyster Cult live. Yep. Number 3, my favorite album by this band. This is the box set. Black Sabbath, Sabotage. So heavy, man. I mean the box set. And the music inside is heavy too. Okay. What's number 2 and what's number 1? Number 2. Possibly. I always change my mind. It's one of my favorites of theirs. It'd be in the top 3. It is Sparks with Indiscreet, produced by Tony Visconti. So number 1. Do you know what it is? I do. This isn't very well known, but it's definitely my favorite for 1975. It is Redneck Canadian by Canadian Studmuffin. This is on Spotify if you want to listen to it. Redneck Canadian. It is a double album by a band called Led Zeppelin. Definitely my favorite Led Zeppelin album, and definitely my number 1 album for 1975. I would love your thoughts in the comments section below. What are your favorite albums from 1975? Thanks for watching and have a great day.